recently had a friend of the ministry send me this picture here, this screenshot of basically a church down in Florida that is requiring back tithes that were not paid, that they're supposed to be paid now. And it's really hard to make this thing out, but I'm actually going to include this article over here, this ABC Action News. I'm going to include the link to it so you can actually watch the video and see the woman that this letter's about here. But I'll just read a little bit here. Like I said, the photo's really bad. I can't really read too good, but it says, in sending this letter, it is with much regret. We value you as a member of our congregation and your attendance in the worship services. You are currently delinquent in your financial support. Okay, yeah, sure. You know, boy, that sure is scriptural. I mean, just look up a verse of scripture here quickly. I mean, you know, it's just insane some of the stuff that these people do in these Babel buildings. Okay, that's 1 Corinthians chapter 9 has some of the scriptures in it about actually supporting a preacher, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6 and 7 says, But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. There is no New Testament requirement for a 10% tithe or whatever percent tithe. That's not there. This is completely unscriptural, and it's wrong. But my wife did a little bit of digging around, and she found out something very interesting. This pastor here, up here of this place, B.R. Fulton Jr., here's an article, theledger.com, if you want to zoom in on this over here. Okay, it says, local pastor named General Secretary. William J. Williams, a graduate of Southeastern University and pastor of Mount Pilgrim Primitive Baptist Church in Bradenton, will be installed as General Secretary of the National Primitive Baptist Convention USA during the installation of the 13th President of the National Primitive Baptist Convention USA and officers at 6 p.m. Monday at Zion Hope Primitive Baptist Church in Pensacola. You can read that, but we're going to skip down here. A Georgia native, Williams became pastor of Mount Pilgrim Primitive Baptist Church in 2010 after having served as pastor of Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church in Tampa for 18 years. Okay, so this guy was formerly pastor of this Babel building that's doing this whole thing of back tithing. But now check this out. You go down here, a couple more paragraphs. A former mayor and city commissioner of Lakeland, Williams has served on several civic boards and advisory councils, is a recipient of several awards and recognitions, and is also an FBI Citizens Academy graduate.
A civilian mole entity.
Yeah. I mean, so you have this guy here that's a pastor, and yet he's going and being trained by the FBI. And, you know, FEMA does the same thing. The CIA does the same thing. A lot of the intelligence agencies, which all intelligence agencies, by the way, all are run by the Jesuits. Okay, every single one of them. It's a whole other study, but, you know, the CIA, you know, a lot of these guys, Bill Donovan, William Colby, I think, all these guys were Catholic. They were Jesuits. So, you know, the intelligence agencies training preachers. And of course, you know, I know somebody out there is screaming right now, and you're probably typing it in the comments, my church doesn't do that. Okay, but you see, we go back to the same argument over and over and over again of when you have a practice that is not founded in the New Testament, things can go wrong. Things can be used. I mean, you have a public building where everybody is welcome, completely without scriptural support, and it can be easily taken over and controlled. It's happened time after time after time after time again. So you get some little Bible building someplace, oh, we're independent fundamental Baptist and stuff, and our preacher's a good Bible-believing preacher and stuff. Yeah, but he can get into trouble like this. The temptation's going to be there. He's doing something that is not founded in Scripture. So he might be the greatest guy on earth. I know that there are some men out there that Dr. Ruckman, I think very highly of, and some other guys and things I think highly of, but they're stuck in a Babel building system, and I'm just going, you guys, as time goes by, there's going to be more and more corruption. Okay? So just another example of just absolute, total, in-your-face, just greed. I mean, it's crazy. And they say in that news article, or the news video, this ABC Action News down there, the local news agency in that area, they say that the reason that they're requiring this money to be paid by the congregants is because they have debts that they need to pay off. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, these buildings are running into the millions of dollars. Huge amounts of money. And I know for a fact, Liberty Baptist Church I used to go to, that the senior pastor had a $1 million insurance policy on him. Because why? Well, he's a corporation. Corporations can be sued.
But it can't be sold if you want to get rid of the Babel building in the future.
Right. Yeah, you can't sell a corporation. You can change ownership of corporations. You can have one corporation come in, and by the way, you get witchcraft churches, covens and things like that. You get satanic churches. They're 501c3 as well. So technically, one of those could move right into a Babel building and everything would be fine. So it just, I keep saying this over and over and over to people, get out of these systems. And you say, well, then how do we legally worship the Lord then? Legally is in terms of secular authority. The government, according to Scripture, according to Romans chapter 13, the government is there for the punishment of evildoers and the enforcement of just laws. Okay? They have no right to get into health care. They have no right to get into education. They have no right to get into a lot of things like that, food and things. And they especially have no right to get into matters of faith, into religion. Okay? And I'll say the word religion because the Bible word religion is there. It's pure religion, okay? Not organized religion. The Vatican and all that stuff. The government does not have a right to get into telling you how or when or where you can worship the Lord. They are totally out of their realm when they get into that. And it goes against our Constitution here in America as well. So, again, it's just like, FBI trained hireling, and the Babel building that he was part of is requiring people to pay back tithes. I mean, absolutely insane.